Okay, so now I'm going to discuss the drilling of the holes for the cables for the door lock and the reed switch. Now, if the door is a right-hand hinge, your reed switch is going to be below your door lock. If your door is a left-hand hinge, then this reed switch is going to be above. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, the door jambs that you are supplied from Velocity Home Lifts has the pre-routed out hole for your reed switch and also for your door lock. Now what I want to show here, and I'm wondering if you can zoom in, Chris, is we can see that we already have our pre-drilled hole that comes with the door jamb itself. And you can see in behind the hole there, we have our raw opening timber. So now what we need to do is we need to drill a 25mm hole, which is the size of this hole here, through our studs to allow us to bring through the cables inside the lift shaft. So the next video you'll see will be holes drilled in the studs and showing the cables coming inside the lift shaft itself for the door lock and for the reed switch. Okay, so now we're going to show you how we have drilled the hole through the studs to allow for the running of the cables for the door lock. So you can see here through the back of the door jamb where we already had a pre-drilled 25mm hole. We've drilled into the raw opening, the timber stud behind it, and then we have drilled into our corner stud. Now that might not always be the case where you do have a corner stud here, but generally that is the case. So remembering we've drilled a 25mm hole here and a 25mm hole here on the timber stud where the raw opening is, and that's going to allow you to run your cables through and then bring them out into the lift shaft. We've also done the same, and we've just drilled actually a 10mm hole for the reed switches, or the reed switch. The cables are a lot smaller for the reed switch, and we're going to show you how we're going to join those cables up here and bring them out into the same location, into the shaft itself. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate installing the door lock into the jamb and passing those cables through the jamb and then through your timber studs on your raw opening and then bringing them out into the shaft. So this door lock will be supplied with the door jamb kit. So it will be your responsibility to install the door lock. So all we want to do is pass these cables through all the holes that we've drilled. Making sure everything's nice and neat and it's not too tight. If you can feel that it's tight, then you probably haven't drilled a large enough hole. Depending on how far your door jamb is set into the shaft, sometimes your door jamb might only be 3mm. So the hole that's been drilled in the back of the jamb may almost line up flush with this edge here. So you can either drill it or you can notch out this timber as well. Just remembering, if you do notch it out, we still need a minimum of like 25mm clearance there on your notch. So 25mm high, 25mm deep. So installing your door lock into the pre-routed out location, and then we're just going to run these cables through these holes here that we've drilled in our corner stud. And that's how we would install the cables for the door lock, and we just leave these, or you would just leave these hanging on the inside of the shaft. When we go to install the inside face inside the lift shaft itself, then we're going to drill a hole in the same location on our inside skin panel to ensure that those cables come into the shaft. So now we're going to install the cables for our reed switch. Remembering we already have a pre-drilled hole on our door jamb itself. So we're just going to run this cable through the hole that we've drilled into the stud on the raw opening. And then this hole that's been pre-drilled on the jamb itself is nice and snug, so we can just push this reed switch into position. And then we're going to bring these cables up and run them out the same hole as the cables for the door lock. And that's it there. So that's the installation of the cables for your door lock and your reed switch.